Raj. I am joined by Joel Outscrewn, and we're bringing you all the latest news from around the country today. Good evening, Joy.
A very good evening, Chandana. Nice to have you with us this evening on Primetime News from the Newsfirst studios in Colombo. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. A very good evening to all our viewers. Let's start off with tonight's headlines.
Central Bank increases minimum capital requirements for licensed commercial banks. CID investigates Arjun Aloysius and Kasun Palisena over allegations of concealing evidence. Gazette regarding local government elections to be issued on Wednesday. Hamtana Road development projects halted following Newsfirst revelations.
On to our top story this evening, the Central Bank has announced it has increased the minimum capital requirements for licensed commercial banks and licensed specialized banks.
Issuing a media release, the Central Bank notes that enhancing minimum capital requirement will support the implementation of Basel III framework in Sri Lanka to strengthen the resilience of banks and may lead to consolidation in the banking sector. Thereby, the minimum capital requirement of the licensed commercial banks has been increased to 20 billion rupees, while the capital requirement for licensed specialized banks has been increased to 7.5 billion rupees. The minimum capital requirement for banks incorporated outside Sri Lanka has been set at 10 billion rupees. A time period of over 3 years has been granted for existing banks to enhance capital and to meet the minimum capital requirement. A Moody's report published recently regarding the Sri Lankan banking system notes that the outlook for Sri Lanka's banking system is negative, with both asset quality and profitability under pressure.
Two of the largest commercial banks in the country are state banks. There's an attempt to sell a 10% stake of these banks in the stock market. Through this, these banks will be led down to the path of privatization. When Ravi Karunanayake was the Minister of Finance, the profits of these banks were taken by the government to meet their expenses. They pumped in this money and they are now trying to sell its shares by highlighting a capital requirement. As profit-making enterprises, they could have increased their capital using the profits that they generated. State banks are state-owned enterprises. When they make profits, a portion of it goes to the government or the treasury. This does not mean that the government has taken money from these banks. There are two ways in which these banks could increase the capital. One is for the government to provide a loan to the bank. The other is to tell the bank to gather the funds themselves. This could be done in a number of ways. One is to issue their shares or their debentures. This is not a privatization and it is not wrong to make such claims.
The Criminal Investigations Department is currently investigating the incidents associated with the tampering of evidence. The CID is probing into the deletion of phone call recordings at Provincial Treasuries Limited, which were of importance for the investigation of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. The Criminal Investigations Department is investigating into the possible culpability of Arjun Aloysius, CEO of Provincial Treasuries Limited, Kasun Palisena, and several others in this regard.
I'm currently standing outside the 11th SARC Chief Justice's Conference inauguration and the inauguration of the 14th SARC Law 2017 Conference, where Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe presided over the proceedings just a short while ago here in Colombo. Now, at this very moment, the Criminal Investigations Department is conducting a criminal investigation into the possible incident of evidence tampering with regard to the inquiry that was taking place by the Presidential Commission investigating the Treasury bond issue. Now, we have been informed that the Criminal Investigations Department is investigating the involvement of a chairman of the Perpetual Group, Arjun Aloysius, CEO of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, Kasun Palisena, and several others. The reason for this is because when the Commission requested Kasun Palisena to submit the phone recordings of vital importance for their investigation, Kasun Palisena said that there are no such recordings and their phone system only records the data and wave files according to a serial number, and it's impossible to locate which call was taken and when it was taken. However, the senior IT executive of Perpetual Treasuries and the chief dealer of Perpetual Treasuries testifying before the Commission said that they destroyed certain phone recordings from the system established at PTL following the instructions that were given to them, and thereby it is now transpired that the Criminal Investigations Department is in fact investigating the involvement in tampering evidence and the attempt to destroy key and vital evidence that was required for the Presidential Commission of Inquiry, and thereby Arjun Aloysius, Kasun Palisena and several others are being investigated. For News First, right opposite the SARC Law Conference 2017, I'm Zulfiq Farzan reporting from Colombo.
The fundamental rights petition filed by S Padmana Dhin, a central bank employee, was taken up for the first time today. He claims that he was bullied into giving testimony favorable to the Presidential Commission on the bond issue.
The petition was taken up before a bench consisting of Supreme Court judges Sisira Diabru, Priyantha Jayawardena and Vijit Malagoda. However, the case was postponed to the 10th of November as Justice Priyantha Jayawardena recused himself from hearing the petition, and Justice Sisira Diabru stated he would prefer not to hear the petition for the moment. Justice Sisira Diabru further said that if there is no other justice to take up the petition, he would consider hearing it along with Justice Vijit Malagoda. Padmana Dhin has named the officers of the Attorney General's Department assisting the Commission, the Governor of the Central Bank and the members of the Monetary Board as respondents to the case.
Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Faiza Mustafa said the Gazette notification regarding the local government elections will be issued on the 1st of November.
Now there's a request to divide the Kalmune Urban Council into 4 Pradesh Sabha areas. Also, I hope to submit the decision taken regarding the division of the Norelia and Ambugamo areas into 6 Pradesh Sabha areas to the Cabinet on Tuesday. If they approve it, the Gazette will be issued on Wednesday. We will definitely hold the election in January as targeted. The chairman of the Elections Commission claimed it was just stroking the ball. I was simply preparing the necessary atmosphere to conduct an election. There's a small mistake in the Sinhala legislation regarding minority parties. I have gone before the Cabinet to get it amended. I will take steps to ensure that this will not impact the election date. I cannot hold the election under wrong or deformed legislation. That particular clause states that female representation is not necessary in case a party receives less than 20% of the vote or secures less than 3 seats. It has been written wrongly in Sinhala. The Attorney General and the Chairman of the Elections Commission instructed us to make an amendment to rectify this. We will take steps to get this passed in a manner which does not affect the election.
The Central Environmental Authority has announced the construction activities of a road along the western slope of the Hamthana Reserve have been stopped temporarily.
The Road Development Authority commenced the project on the 12th of December 2015. The movement to protect the Hamthana Reserve, however, said that the construction began without proper approvals. The project commenced with the funds of the Asian Development Bank, and the cost of the project was estimated at 98 million rupees. Newsfirst cameras were able to capture today how the construction activities have been halted.
Please take the relevant steps to conduct such activities legally. Please take the relevant approvals from the Hamthana Environmental Protection Committee. We do not want to disrupt development activities.
Newsfirst reported how several roads within the Colombo city limits are at a dilapidated state. Why can't funds that are used to construct roads without proper approvals be used to construct dilapidated roads in Colombo?
Sandra Courtiers continue to engage in illegal excavations at the Yarn, which flows through the Vilevava village in Horopathana.
This is the disruption caused to the Yarn River and the Yarn Reserve. This footage bears testament to the damage caused by illegal sand racketeers. No legal action has been taken to bring this disruption to a stop. Residents charge that these illegal sand excavations are taking place with the support of prominent businessmen and close affiliates of certain politicians. These excavations have also damaged the banks of the river.
This is a large-scale underhand operation. Although we brought this to the attention of the relevant authorities, no action has been taken. Everything is temporary. No raid has been conducted as yet. In time to come, the Yarn Oya will be completely destroyed.
Our cameras captured the manner in which the sand is transported. We contacted the District Secretary of Horopathana in this regard.
I need to obtain information on the excavation of sand in the Yarn Oya. I need to know if they have a license to excavate and what is the situation over there.
It is the Forest Department that has details related to it. Did you inquire it from them?
The Forest Department has not issued the license.
In which side is it? It comes under the Forest Department and not under our purview. You should ask them. Residents charge that relevant officials have thus far taken no action.
Officials have not paid attention to this issue. No action has been taken.
Welcome back. President Maithripala has issued an order temporarily suspending the issuing of licenses for the transportation of cattle.
The President's media unit notes that there has been a steady increase in the number of cattle being transported illegally, adding that this had a detrimental impact on the dairy as well as agricultural sectors. The temporary suspension will remain in place till a proper mechanism is created to facilitate the transportation of cattle. Yesterday, 2 women died after being run over by a lorry which was illegally transporting cattle in Bulankulama and Radhapura.
Well, a moment now to see tonight's news presented by cartoonist Asanka Laduhetti. Still in news here at home, now the case pertaining to the purchase of GI pipes worth 36.5 million rupees through funds of the Divinaguma against former Minister Basil Rajapaksa and the former DG of the Divinaguma Kitsri Ranavara was postponed until the 25th of January 2018. The case was taken up today before High Court Judge AAR Heyanthura.
Based on the facts provided by the President's counsel, Jayanthavira Singha, appearing on behalf of the defendant in the case, Basil Rajapaksa, the hearing was adjourned. The lawyers said written and oral evidence that was provided by 9 suspects of the prosecution have not been handed over to the defendant.
We are preparing ourselves for the election. We hope the election will be held. We are ready to face any election in the future and to create a public discourse regarding the government's corruption, the political witch hunts, the selling of state property, the destabilization of the country through a constitution, and the slashing off of subsidies.
I
did not hear such statements.
Pressure mounts on Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, Barnaby Joyce, to win a by-election for the government to get back its tiny margin after the High Court of Australia today ruled he was ineligible to sit in the Parliament.
Joyce, who renounced his dual New Zealand citizenship in August, said he would stand in the by-election which is likely to be held in early December. Against this backdrop, Prime Minister of Australia remained rather confident of the support they could garner in the rerun.
We have a majority of members in the House of Representatives in the absence, even in the absence of Barnaby Joyce, and of course, as you know, we have support from the crossbench. Now, we welcome the court confirming Matt Canavan's eligibility to sit in the Senate, but are obviously disappointed that the court has found against Barnaby Joyce and Fiona Nash.
Newsfirst contacted the parliamentary correspondent for ABC, Lucy Sweeney, to understand the issue that lies ahead of the Australian government.
So tell us, Lucy, what sort of legal implications did these politicians have to go through in order to renounce their citizenship before the verdict got out from the courts today?
All of the politicians reviewed by the court today were considered because there was a suspicion that they may have been dual citizens when they were elected to the Parliament. The court found that 5 of the 7 should not have been elected. Some of those who were disqualified renounced the citizenship of their second country before the issue went to court, so they may be able to serve in the Parliament again.
So what would the next step be for the Turnbull government if they fail to secure a majority in Parliament, even after a re-election between Barnaby Joyce? And if they fail, do you think that they will strike a deal with another party in order to form a majority? And what would that party possibly be?
So if Barnaby Joyce loses that by-election, which like I said is unlikely, Malcolm Turnbull would need to form an alliance with one of the 5 crossbench MPs. So those include independent Cathy McGowan, who has pledged her support for the government already, Andrew Wilkie and Bob Katter, or Nick Xenophon team MP Rebecca Sharkey, or Greens MP Adam Bant.
You're watching Primetime News.
We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Go away. Get out. Listen, guys,
This is what British citizen Adam Kelwick had to face while in Sri Lanka recently.
No.
It's police. We got information that there's a transporting cocaine.
Transporting what?
Cocaine.
Transporting cocaine. Go away. You're on Facebook Live.
Although he was arrested for the possession of Agarwood, questions arise regarding the identity of the persons who stopped him initially, claiming that they were CID officers.
Excuse me, can I see your ID?
Newsfirst was able to track down the vehicle seen in the footage to Angoda yesterday. However, when Newsfirst travelled to the location today, neither the vehicle nor the owner were present. We received information that he had gone to the police to lodge his own complaint. It was later revealed that the vehicle in question is currently in police custody and that the police has launched further investigations.
Construction work on a canal leading up to the canal in Hambantota commenced today under the auspices of Minister Sajith Premadasa through the Samata Sahana program.
A total of 6 million rupees will be spent for the project, and the money was donated through Minister Sajith Premadasa's personal funds. The canal will provide relief to over 500 farming families in the Catton River area. Can you remember how the proposal regarding the Catton came into the limelight? It was through the Gammadda program carried out by Sirasa. The people in this area told us that for many decades the crucial need of the people has not been met. They asked us to construct this canal. This proposal, which came out through Gammadda, is being fulfilled by Sajith Premadasa. We will name this the Janasavi Grama Shakti Canal and vest it in the public. I also wish to thank Sirasa Gammadda because I have also linked hands with this project today through this program. We will complete construction in 1.5 months. The project is being funded by my personal funds. Meanwhile, former First Lady and mother of Minister Sajith Premadasa celebrated her birthday today. A constant strength behind her husband, the late President R. Premadasa, Mrs. Hema Premadasa also made her mark on Sri Lankan politics through various activities. We wish to extend our wishes to Mrs. Premadasa on her birthday.
A seminar organized by the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka titled Energizing the Nation, Framework for Energy Security was held in Colombo yesterday. Dr. Harsha De Silva, the Deputy Minister of National Policies and Economic Affairs, delivering the keynote address, expressed his disappointment over the actions of the CEB.
The Ceylon Electricity Board General Manager is not here. We are talking about electricity. We are talking about Energy Forum 2017. If the CEB is not able to participate in a public discussion, there is no point in entertaining these kinds of people. Why are these things not happening? What has happened to the LNG procurement? Why is it stuck? Is it the government's fault it is stuck? Or is it the CEB's fault it is stuck? Whose fault is it? Now what has happened, I understand, is no CEB engineer is sitting on procurement the boards, tender committees and the boards. So that's a hell of a how do you do now? Now the issue that we have at hand is a complex one. It's an important issue. The losses that the CEB is making, the prices that the consumers are paying, the inefficiencies in which, at which we are operating, are all making Sri Lanka uncompetitive. If we are to compete with the rest of the region and others we want to become, unless we have the energy, you can ignite, fan the flames, but how is it going to be sustained?
It is CEB has done its part. CEB in the sense that TEC has done its part. It's not correct to say that CEB has walked away. CEB has done its part, and that it is before the SCAPC. The CEB has threatened that they will take their members out of the committees. That is because of this, dispute between the PUC cell and the CEB.
Mr. Additional General Manager, is it fair? You have a technical dispute between two groups. You have one view, the regulator has another view. Regulator is an independent body. We don't control the regulator, it's an independent body. The committee chairman and the members have been appointed by the Constitutional Council. It is not controlled by a government unit. So just because you, the CEB, Mr. Additional General Manager, has a problem with him, the Director General of the PUCSL, is it fair for you to strike? Is it fair for you to say, I am not participating in any of the procurement of the government? What are you doing?
12th International Research Conference on Management and Finance, organized by the University of Colombo, got underway in Colombo today.
We may look at some post-conflict situations and say people in that country, post-conflict, have rising expectations about their lives, and reality may or may not meet those rising expectations. Often in these tumultuous times, that can actually be an opportunity. And if economic development happens in ways through entrepreneurship, through creativity, through innovation, if jobs are created for young people, then their lives get better. And that ultimately is the kind of practical relevance of education that I hope you're doing here at University of Colombo.
We recruit people with the first degree. There are pluses and minuses with this system. Pluses is that most of the time we might be able to get the best graduates to the academia. But sometimes in the faculties of management, our experience is sometimes we cannot attack the best. Best is attacked by the industry. So then there is a cardinal responsibility for the institution, for the system to train them. But in our time, there was no regular funding system to get our postgraduate studies. In fact, today the UGC, when we encourage all of you to go abroad and do your postgraduate studies, and funding is available, there are two schemes. And
the Foundation Sessions 2017, organized by Sri Lanka Medical Association, was held in Colombo yesterday.
To the general public who flocked to government hospitals, particularly during a time of a vast epidemic of dengue fever, the GMOA strikes were no different to the military striking during a war, or to teachers striking a month before the O-level or the A-level examination. These largely helpless people remind us that doctors exist for patients, and that patients do not exist for doctors or for pharmaceutical companies. In short, what I'm trying to tell you is the costs of your work stoppages are borne by those who are not responsible for the solutions to the problems which are being agitated against. You can even refuse to treat politicians. I'm being serious. You can refuse to treat cabinet ministers. You can refuse to treat the Prime Minister or the President. if you want to impact the ruling government. But that option may have to be rethought because many of them anyway go overseas for medical treatment.
The 5th International Conference on Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha and Traditional Medicine, organized by the Institute of Indigenous Medicine of the University of Colombo, commenced at the Institute of Indigenous Medicine in Rajgir today. This conference will provide an overview of the latest information on Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha and Traditional Medicine approach to health, to prevent illnesses, recommendations for management of specific conditions, and tools to evaluate the latest related research findings.
If an institution is to go forward, it must have an international dimension. As a government, we had requested all universities to take at least 10% of foreign students. Some universities are following this directive, but some aren't. Sri Lanka is proud to have free education. There are various rumors that free education is to be abolished in Sri Lanka. But I wish to assure all of you that free education will be nurtured. It will never be diluted. Our universities are famous for demonstrations. But I must tell you, the moment you demonstrate, your international standing will go down.
India and Sri Lanka have been able to finalize MOU for cooperation in the field of traditional medicine and homeopathy. I am confident that the MOU will be signed soon. I am glad that more than 40 Sri Lankan students have been offered Ayush scholarships to pursue various courses in indigenous medicine in prestigious Indian colleges over the last 7 years. This year also, 12 students have been recommended for these courses.
The 3-day international packaging exhibition, Lanka, commenced at the BMICH in Colombo today. The event showcases products from packaging materials industry.
We know that with the Hambantota harbour there will be an export development zone, and we are hoping to have at least 300 new industries, particularly heavy industries, to be located there. The other areas which are also getting the benefit of, for example, GSP Plus, all need modern packaging. The costs of production are going up.
Companies who carry out packaging and related businesses displayed the most recent trends, innovations and products at the exhibition. Trending products of Toughline Limited of the Capital Maharaja Organization, a leading flexible barrier packaging company in Sri Lanka, were exhibited in the Lanka Pack exhibition.
Now, the bodies of a mother and 3 children were discovered in the Arilay area in Jaffna today. The remains were discovered by police at around 1:30 p.m. according to police media spokesperson SP Gunasekara. The mother has been identified as a 28-year-old while the children are aged 1 year, 2 years and 4 years. Police suspect that the victims had died after consuming poison. The remains were transferred to the Jaffna Teaching Hospital for the post-mortem inquiry. The Jaffna police is carrying out further investigations into these deaths.
That's all for the news today. I am...
Well, tonight on Best First Review 360, Nilankika Fernando from Bedside Research sheds light on the progress of promises made in the 2017 budget. Well, that's all the news we have for you tonight.
I am Chandana Raj.
And I'm Joel Outscoon. Take care. Good night.